today because of this terrible weather. Hopefully,
I thought it was.
we'll all get back safe.
Are you ready for it?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. How many do we have missing today? Who's missing? Do we have people missing? Not that many, right? Okay, hello Laredo, good evening. So today what we're going to do is this is Effective Observation Skills Part 2. We're going to briefly review the lenses from Wednesday. We're going to be going over the learning climate, those are the papers that I gave you, and then we're going to go into our second session. And the reason I do it because a lot of what we did on Wednesday, you're now going to apply it to today's lesson. So I need to make sure that you all do remember it, even though it's going to be a brief, very brief review. So going back, remember there are 8 lenses. Excuse my voice. The first one is considering the learning climate. That's what we want to see. How does the classroom feel? How do the kids feel in the classroom? And that's what we're going to stick on this for a little bit. Because, because, and I've been like on cough drops all day long. Thank you.
I took Chinese. I have the more.
I gave you all 3 sheets. These, Laredo, these sheets are in your Padlet for Effective Observations, Part 1. This one. This one. And this one. Is that one? Can they see it? Yeah, that's how close I have to get. Yes, you may. Right here.
You need the student spontaneity.
Student sponsor.
Let me put these over here just in case other people arrive. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The paper that I want you to look at first. The one that says instrument 5.2. Rating classroom control. Okay? Whenever we're rating classroom climate, we're looking at 2 things. We're looking at control and we're looking at warm. How does the teacher control the classroom and how does the classroom feel? And when I say warm, I don't mean obviously temperature, right? So, if we look at this one, and then I want you to look at the plotting form. Plotting data. Instrument 5.4. I want you to look for where you see student spontaneity. Can y'all find it?
Yes.
It's at the very bottom, right? You see the way it goes up from a 1 low control to a high. You see that? So when you're judging for control, if you go into a classroom and there's a lot of student spontaneity, a lot of it, and don't write this one because you're going to use this one later. Let's say you put it as a 1. The students are spontaneous. They can answer without feeling like they're scared. Then that would be, you would plot it right around down here. Do y'all see that? It would be low control. Low control. From a 1 to a 7, right? So it says high and low, don't worry about that. If it's a 1, student spontaneity would be down here. Do y'all see that so far? If there's a lot of spontaneity, that means that the classroom is a low control classroom. If there's a lot of low spontaneity, that means that the teacher is in total control of the class. High control.
Through fear and attrition, right?
Excuse me?
Go there.
I didn't hear you, sorry. So now let's look at the next one. Amount of teacher talk. A 7, if the teacher talks a lot, you would mark it a 7 or a 6. If the teacher rarely talks and it's more the students talking, it could be a 1 or a 2. Where would that be if it was a 2? On the low control spectrum, high control.
No.
Low control. So we're still in the low control, right? Student, amount of teacher talk. Where's teacher talk? Up here. The next one, student risk-taking behavior. If there's a lot of risk-taking going on, what would you give it, a 1 or a 7? If the students are taking a lot of risk, look at it again.
A 1.
Where's the high and where's the low? A 1 is a high. You see that? A 1 is a high. So if the students are taking a lot of risks, that's a 1. Do we want students taking risks in the classroom?
What do you like this?
Yes. Yes. We want students taking risks.
Can you define like risk? What you mean by?
When they answer, they're not scared to answer the question.
I was like, no.
Student not scared to.
Okay, yes, I'm not talking about like daredevil stuff. In classroom setting, they're not nervous about if they answer a question wrong, the teacher's gonna ridicule them. Right? Okay, now we go on to the next one. Task orientation. If the teacher's doing all these other things, instead of teaching, that would be high task orientation, right? So with that teacher, if she had a 7, would it be high control or low control?
High control.
High control. You're seeing how this is working? Yeah. So let me ask you, in the optimal, okay, let's go on to the second page. I'm sorry. Let's go on to the next one now. I'm not going through each one of them because we're going to go through them with Ms. Coker. On the warmth one. Now we're looking at vertical lines. The vertical line. We're no longer looking up and down. Now we're looking from one end to the other. You see the 3 on this side and the 3 indicators on this side? There are a total of 6 indicators total. These are the same 6 indicators that you find here.
So is that paper record going to be the key to those 2?
Well, no, this just tells you where they're at. You're going to plot Miss Coker, depending on what number she is, and then you're going to find out what kind of a teacher she is, based on. And I'll give you fake numbers right now, and y'all can figure out what she is. So let's say under classroom warmth, the first one, uses and rewards. She rarely used any praise or rewards. What am I going to give her?
1.
A 1, maybe a 2. It would be plotted right there. Right? Yes?
You said this one goes left to right?
Yes, this one goes from left to right. Not to up and down, left to right. What's the next indicator? Amount of criticism, scolding, or reprimanding. So let's say she's constantly getting after the kids. What would it be?
She's doing a good job, 1.
No, she's not doing a good
It
job.
would be a 1.
It would be a 1. Would it be good if it was a 1? No. The plotting would be over here. Yes? We're understanding how the plotting works? Okay. another one. Concept of punishment. Use of punishment. She doesn't punish anybody. She lets everybody get away with it. She let everybody get away with it. What are you giving her? A 7. So then, the 7 would be
The high one.
high warmth. She's so sweet. She's all sugar. She gives you a lot of warmth. Who cares what's going on, but she's a lovely, lovely teacher. Lets everybody get away with it. Okay? What we want, ideally, is, do we want a teacher that has low warmth or high warmth?
High warm.
High warmth. Do you want a teacher that has high control or low control? Medium. So what number would you, what quadrant, see the way it's got, don't worry about the thing here. Which quadrant would you want to have do you think an effective teacher would be? Quadrant A, B, C, or D?
C. As in kind of
A good solid B5. B. A good.
How many of you think it's A? How many of you think it's B? B is high control, high warmth. High control, high warmth. Let's look at the control. High control, high warmth. So you want student risk taking would be low and high control. Student initiated responding would be low. Do you want it to be a teacher-centered classroom or a student-centered classroom? So if it's a student-centered classroom, does a teacher have high control?
No. So it's C.
No. So the best quadrant is C. You want a teacher that is in between a 5 and a 7 for warmth. You want somebody to be a nice person, not to be a real mean person. But at the same time, you also want a teacher that's going to give more control to the students so they can have more student-initiated activities. And it's not all about just her. Okay? Classroom management. We discussed that at length yesterday. The third one, in clarity. We want the lesson to be clear, the objectives to be clear, so that the students know exactly what they are learning and the teacher knows exactly what she is teaching. You know, that sounds kind of silly. Well, of course the teacher knows what they're teaching. But many times teachers tend to forget, and just going back and looking at the board, oh yes, let me make sure, just keeps them on track. Variety. Remember, it shouldn't just be lecture. It should be also hands-on. Maybe you want them to move around, do different things, group work, individual work, pairs. So vary the variety with materials. Maybe you want to bring Realia in. Maybe you want to show them a video. Maybe you want to give them a worksheet. That's okay, but just vary it. Observe task orientation. How efficiently does the class run? Is it a smooth running classroom? Are the transitions smooth? Or is it very choppy? Are the lens number 6 and examine engagement? Are the students engaged in the lesson? You might have a beautiful lesson, but if the kids aren't even paying attention, it's all about the learners. It's not about the teacher. So we're looking to see if they're engaged. And lens number 7, are they being successful? They may be engaged, but they're not doing anything. They're just like acting like, oh yeah. But they're not really learning it. So are they engaged and are they learning the material? And then the last lens is, are you taking them to that higher level? Pretty simple, right? Those lenses? Pretty simple? Yes, okay. So now we go on to, now that we reviewed the lenses, let's go ahead and look at our pre-work from Effective Observations 2. In Effective Observations 2, what I asked you to do is, I asked you to look at articles, videos that related to each lens. By the time you finish this section, you should have already known, okay, I already know what the lenses are. I got them. They should be, I'm giving you information on them. Let's look at letter A, questions. For the first article that you had, creating an emotionally safe classroom. That goes with, obviously, learning climate, correct? When does failure and frustration with students begin?
School career.
What?
School career.
With their school career? Anybody else with something different?
When it's unclear.
When they don't feel safe. What else? Did you have something else to add?
Yeah, but when it's unclear to them.
When it's unclear what the expectations are. Does anybody else have a different answer? No? Okay. Number 2, in section Need for Success of the checklist, please rate each item with 1 being the most important and 7 the least important to you. Can somebody tell me what their 1 through 7 were? I guess I'll start calling names. Hold on. Get the... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, Bianca. Bianca, no, it's not the Laredo. Where's Bianca? Bianca. Who? That's you?
I forgot my favorite though. I don't remember favorite.
Jessica. Where are you, Jessica? What was your 1 through 7? I'm sorry?
Because a lot of us
It's 'cause
didn't
I-
print it out.
I have it on my, like, submitted.
You just
I
submitted it.
just turned on my laptop. Maybe on
Okay, I'm not gonna harp on it, but at the end it said, please print everything and bring a copy. Right?
I don't know, how do we score that?
We have ours.
Go ahead, thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, so number 1, I put for my top one, I put I attempt to accommodate a variety of interests, modality strengths, and learning preferences in my directions, instructions, motivations, and assignments. That's my number 1. My number 2 is I attempt to accommodate tactile, kinesthetic, visual, verbal, and auditory learners. Number 3, I assess students' abilities and adjust instruction to an appropriate level of challenge for each one. 4, I offer students a variety of ways to demonstrate their knowledge, intelligence, and mastery. 5, I provide opportunities for success in the classroom, encouraging growth from wherever they start. 6, I attempt to build interpersonal social behaviors, character skills, and resistance to failure. And 7, I make sure kids have ample opportunities to move around and help them learn to maintain an appropriate level of alertness with classmates' concentration.
And that one really depended on you all, what you all felt yours were the most important. Thank you for sharing. Number 3, in the section Need for Dignity and Respect, which item did you experience most in your school career? Marie?
Marite?
Marite. Marite. Yes. Wait, let me see. Do you have it?
I avoid using humiliation, sarcasm, using humiliation, sarcasm, ridicule, anger, impatience, or manifestations of disappointment in dealing with students.
Perfect. Number 5, in the last section, need for recognition, attention, and emotional safety, Which do you feel is the most important and why? Laredo, in this one? No? Yes? You have to go up some, I can't stop. Up. Okay, down. Up in the paper, down in yours. That was number 5? No, I need number 5. Attempt to accommodate a variety of interests, modality, this is strengths and learning. That's it.
They just had it ranked. What was number 1?
Okay, I don't know how that works. Let me go to the next person here. Hector. Hector, do you have it? No?
For what number?
Number 5?
Number 5.
I have one.
I
Go
can
ahead.
answer word.
Back to me.
Okay, wait, okay, go ahead.
Number 5, and
Oh.
I reinforce positive behaviors with positive outcomes. I believe this is the most important because it provides a positive environment in the classroom and allows students to feel comfortable and safe with their and classmates.
Okay, did y'all get that? Very good answer. Okay, so it's very important to have that emotional class. The safety of, the students need to feel like, okay, I can answer a question and I'm not going to feel like they're going to make fun of me. Okay, let's go on to B. Avoiding power struggles. Number 1, what is a hook in a lesson? Go ahead. Do you have it?
Yeah, engaging students by providing a hook for each lesson and keep them engaged and interested.
So you provide something interesting for them, right? Why is it important to understand a student's background?
Learning about the child's background can make a difference in learning. Knowing about the child, learning barriers and what it causes, what is causing the barriers, and how it can help the child and deal with these issues. Adaptions for the child to succeed. This can ward off some behavioral problems and help the child.
And let me give you a great example of this. Today, we had student council elections where I work at. And the parents are the ones that are in charge of the student council. So when the parents went to the classroom, it was a low classroom, which is first and second. She had the ballot for them to fill out. And for them, we have like the picture of the whoever's running, we have a picture in the name. So this child, the parent gives them the ballot and explains the ballot of how to read it, and the child's like just sitting there. After like 10 minutes, one of our teachers walks in, taking pictures of the kids voting, and she knows that she's very stressed, and she goes, "It's okay, honey. You can go ahead and nobody's gonna know who you voted for. Just somebody." And obviously very, very stressed out. This is first grader. It's such a hard decision. And the parent tells her, nobody's gonna know. You can put whoever you want. It's okay. And after about 15 minutes, first grader finally lets it out. I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I can't vote. And it was like, the teacher there felt like, oh my God, I should have known that, not to even ask this little girl, because she has this, and first grader. She was a first grader. She already had this conviction. And that's when it's so important to understand their background, their cultural background, and be sensitive to it, because this poor little girl was stressed out for 15 minutes. But she finally was able to vocalize it and say, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And then they're like, okay, don't worry. I'm so sorry they took it away from her. But she was lamenting over it. So it is very important. And obviously the parent didn't know that the child was a Jehovah's Witness. The teacher didn't know, but the teacher was teaching, and she didn't
The
mention
parent
it.
didn't say?
No, the parent was just being real like, oh, you know, honey, take your time, you know, no, she didn't know she was a Jehovah's
Oh,
Witness.
okay.
No, it was a different parent.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't her parent.
I was like, her parents?
No.
Does that also work?
Our fifth grade parents go in to do they're the ones that are the ones that are, what do you call it?
Organizing it.
Organizing it. They're the ones that are monitoring the voting to make sure there's no fraud going on. So this parent that went in didn't know, and the teacher knew, but the teacher was giving a lesson. So by the time she figured out what was going on, the little girl had already vocalized it. So
What if you don't know about the religion?
usually the parents tell us because there's so many different celebrations. Yeah, so they usually let us know.
But this was what voting?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah, they can't vote.
They can't
Jehovah's-
vote?
No,
Or celebrate
no.
Christmas.
Right.
Or birthdays.
I know, but I didn't know about voting.
Mhm.
They can't even get blood, like if it's a, they can't even, like if they're in an emergency or something happens, they can't.
Well, no, it's a choice. You don't have to vote.
Blood transfusion.
Well, it's a choice.
I'm gonna use that on the.
Right, but it is a choice. Under the law, we don't have to vote if we don't want to. So it's considered a choice. We should all vote, but that's another issue. But going back to understanding your child's background, your children in your class, their background, their understanding, that way you are sympathetic, or empathetic rather, to it. Okay? So, it is
I
hard.
teach PK and we do Halloween, Christmas, we do treats and everything, and there was two little girls, cousins, and they don't bring them.
No.
They don't participate, and so that they're not looked at, like,
Right.
why didn't they just don't bring them to class.
We have two kids that are Jehovah's Witness at our school, and one of them just doesn't show up. She showed up late. She goes, I'm sorry I was late. We already knew why. Not a problem. Don't worry about it. But she wanted to ensure that she wasn't put in that situation.
Has it ever happened where a teacher's Jehovah's Witness and doesn't celebrate? How does that happen?
Never had that.
I go like, no parties, like that would be like
No,
horrible.
I've never had that. The question was if I had a teacher that's a Jehovah's Witness. So understanding their culture is very important. Knowing where they're coming from is very important. It's extremely important to understand them and be able to help them in the classroom. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the parents are supposed to inform their teacher or just
They don't have to.
So then, how are you supposed to know to not do something?
Well, usually, like in my case,
Yeah.
they've been with us for a while, and the parents told from the very beginning, because we have a lot of celebrations. If they're new to your school, well, obviously you don't know. But once you do know, then you have the responsibility to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
But you
Right.
probably end up finding out because you did something.
But that's okay. You didn't do it maliciously.
Yeah.
You didn't do it with malicious intent. You didn't do it like, you're gonna do it because I'm telling you have to vote.
Like that I work right now. Well, my past career, I had one of my part-timers was a Jehovah's Witness. So when we'd have a Christmas party, we couldn't say it was a Christmas party. We just would say like so she could come because we wanted her to come because she was the only one that would never show up to them.
Right.
Or a gift exchange. If I had a gift for her, I would say, oh no, this is not a Christmas gift. This is a gift of
Friendship.
and she would take it. Even though it was like, I'll give everybody, oh, Merry Christmas, I'll give you the gift. But with her, I wanted to give her a
You have
gift,
to
but
frame it
yeah,
differently.
But you have to frame it differently because they don't celebrate birthdays, but they do celebrate, like if they graduate, they'll have a party for them if they graduate and stuff like that. They just don't celebrate birthdays and stuff like that, yeah. So it's just wording it different.
The pledge, they don't do the pledge.
They don't do the pledge
I had
either.
a student one time, that was a para a couple years ago, and I didn't know about the student. So obviously when they're young, you think they just don't stand up for the pledge, they were being lazy. And so it was time for the pledge, and the little kid was just kind of sitting there. I knew he wasn't a problem, so it was kind of odd to me that he wasn't standing up. And I was like, come on, you need to stand up. And he's just looking at me like, I'm like, and then all the kids in elementary, they just yell at this. They're like, he cannot do this. And I'm like, okay.
They know more about it than, they know more than we do.
Yeah, but I felt terrible. I felt so
But you know what, but you learn, and you realize, okay, now you know, but now if you go back and say, you need to get up, then that is not being, that now you will have a part of your child.
I took over first grade, and one of my students is a Christian. First grade was the brightest one in the class.
On with Delilah. Who's Delilah? Delilah, what a pretty name. Delilah, what should a teacher tell a student disagreement or confrontation arises?
The teacher should respectfully remind the student there and continue the lesson, and if they continue to struggle with them, ask them to speak privately to resolve the issue.
There you go. Perfect answer. True or false? Erica?
Yes,
Where's Erica?
me.
Erica.
Number 4 is, it is important that the teacher gets the last word in during a disagreement so students can understand why is she or he is upset. False.
False. It's not important for you to get the last word. You're not with your husband or wife. Just joking, honey. Next one. Let's go with I said Erica. Judith. Judith? Oh, Judith. You already said one, right?
I'll
Okay. Okay. I like that. I'll answer it. I statements are better than you statements during a disagreement.
True.
True. It's better to say, you know what? I this. I thought you meant this. I instead of, well, you told me this, and you told me that, and you told me this. If you start doing that with a student, you've lost it. You've lost the battle already. Okay. So let's go on to number C. Module number 3, teacher tip clarity. What is the definition of clarity? We go on to Randy. Where's Randy? Randy? I know that's Victor, so I know that's you, not Randy.
The COYK fallacy.
What is the definition of clarity?
I didn't
Yeah,
have that.
that's not clear.
It's a different-
The question that
we have a
have
different
here only
question.
of them.
What's the way?
It's clear.
Clear.
That's a different
Clear.
thing.
Instructional clarity.
Clone, clear from clone only if known.
COIK.
That question.
That kind of makes sense.
Computer says clear only.
It goes in that way.
That's fine.
Unless
Koki.
we're
I
further
think that
down.
was the one that said it only, it was more towards college
Oh, I think that's
audience.
the one that you had said skip because it wasn't there.
No, that was the last one.
Let's go on to letter D. Let's go on to letter D. I don't know what happened there. I don't have that one. I think what happened, I don't know what happened.
It was there.
No, I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it. That's fine.
D, I wasn't able to open that video.
Let's go on to letter E. Tips for beating the clock in the classroom. List 5 time wasters. Let's go with Randy.
Again? Okay. When the teacher writes on the whiteboard and wants students to copy, that's a time waster.
Big time waster. When they
Having to
write on the
collect
board.
Or pass out papers.
I'm sorry, what was the second
Having to
one?
collect or pass out papers.
Having to collect or pass out papers.
When the teacher repeatedly repeats him or herself.
When the teacher repeats him or herself.
The teacher not having a system set up for absent students to catch up. And transitioning from one activity to the other.
Time wasters. Very good. Next one we have Alma. Where's Alma?
Right here.
Where are you, Alma?
Right here.
Alma.
Number,
What should an effective teacher provide during a lecture?
provides the students with concept maps or interactive notes in order to increase learning sanctions.
Very good. Number 3. Judith. I already said Judith. Sorry, Judith. Maria Guerra.
How many opportunities will an effective teacher give to students to master a concept? At least 3 different opportunities.
At least 3 different. You can't give them 10 different. You have to keep on going. John.
When assigning a project, what should an effective teacher provide for the students? This type of teacher is intent for creating successful learning opportunities and make sure to provide students with a clear rubric or learning expectation before assigning learning projects, so no time is wasted re-explaining and answering questions on how to do the project.
Y'all know what a rubric is. Make sure you assign a rubric or specific items you want them. They have to know what's expected of them in order for them to get it. And Cesar. Cesar.
Yes.
Cesar. There you are, Cesar.
How does reviewing vocabulary assist with saving time? This level of teacher will invest the necessary time to prepare well thought out learning activities that engage all students at the appropriate level. Knowing that this will save time in implementing the lesson and increase content retention with saving.
Did y'all get that?
Yes.
In other words, if they know the vocabulary up front, you front load, it's what you call front loading. You front load the information, they understand the vocabulary, so you can go with your lecture a lot more and you don't have to be stopping and explaining what the word means. Giving them the vocabulary ahead of time, they're not cheating, you're helping them. Many times people are like, no, if I give them the vocabulary, he's gonna know what I'm talking about. No. Yeah, exactly, that's what we want. For you to know what, we want them to know what you're talking about. Okay, letter F, teaching that emphasizes active engagement. We go with Mireya.
Active engagement helps process and retain information.
Process and retain information. Next one. Victor.
List 3 engagement strategies: repetition, trial and error, and posing questions.
Very good. One is Beatrice.
Thoroughly learn and understand the curriculum. Identify teaching objectives and strategies that engage students and build understanding. Ask yourself these planning questions. What is the goal? What order does the teaching need to follow? What do the students already know? What do I want them to learn?
And those are the 5 steps.
Oh, there's 2 more.
Yes, I know. We're doing the 5 steps, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Prepare the lecture.
Prepare the lecture and then construct learning activities.
Perfect. The next one, Anna.
What do processing activities do for the learning? Relate new learning to things that they already know.
Very good.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No.
Number 5.
What are the students' processes for the following activities? Lecture, video, debate, field trip. Note taking and discussions. I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah, separated for each.
So for lecture would be note taking and discussion. For film and video, share with a partner. Debate, designing and conducting a survey, and field trip designing a tutorial on a topic. Sorry.
There you go. Okay. Letter G. This is a long one, isn't it?
Yep.
Let's go on with Josue. How should we measure student learning? 5 keys to comprehensive assessment. What are the 5 keys to comprehensive assessment? Josue? Who is Josue? Josh?
Okay, so what are the 5 keys of comprehensive assessment? Meaningful goals and measures, formative feedback, summative assessment, performance assessment, and student ownership.
Very good. There's a signature for Josh here.
That is
I'm
Josh.
Josh.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Not Josue.
It's Josh. Sorry, Joshua. Luis Rincones.
Yes. So it's my birthday.
Ay, 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 Sonia.
Josue
I
is
don't know where I'm at. But that's not his name.
No, it's Friday.
True or false? Assessment should occur early and often.
True.
Everybody together.
True.
Number 3, students may not like reflecting, however, this helps them tremendously.
True.
Number 4, the goal of assessment is that learning is led by teachers motivated by external factors.
True.
Name 3 key points of comprehensive assessment. Name 3 key points comprehensive assessment can accomplish. Let me ask that to Erica Soto.
Name 3 key points comprehensive assessments can accomplish. Real life experience for learning,
Real life experiences,
learn on their own and with others,
learn on their own.
and I don't have a third.
Anybody have a third one?
Improve writing and critical.
Provide for critical thinking. Very good. Let's go on to the next one. I think this is the last one. Which was one that you all did not have? H or I? No, you did have I. You had the TED Talk.
The link was there.
Okay. Which one did you all not have? H? You don't have.
But it was broken. The link didn't work.
Did you have H?
Yes.
Okay. H. What is deeper learning? Ana Trino.
Deeper learning is simply what highly effective educators have always provided. The delivery of rich core content to students in innovative ways that allow them to learn and then apply what they have learned.
What does deeper learning prepare students to do? Eric.
Know and master core academic, think critically and solve complex problems, work collaboratively, communicate effectively, and be self-directed and able to incorporate feedback.
What in the U.S. is troubling for low socioeconomic students? Jonas.
The amount of the amount of that go from secondary education into the college.
Is that what it is?
Sounds good to me.
I don't know. I don't have the notes in front of me. Is that the answer?
You're looking for a percentage?
What statistic in the U.S. is troubling for low socioeconomic?
There is a difference between the lowest and highest achievers on the PISA exams in reading, with 15-year families lower socioeconomic status scoring about 20% lower than their peers.
I just said it slightly
higher
different.
status. But he said it smaller context.
Smaller. By implementing deeper learning, what will this ensure for our students? I said Eric Salinas. Did I call Eric? Luis Rincones. I already called Luis. Okay. Who haven't I not called? Mireya. Already called Mireya, right? Randy. Where's Randy? Oh, Randy. Go ahead, Randy. That's a nice name, Randy.
Thanks, Randy Travis. Okay.
Did you say number 5?
Did you say number 5?
Number 4?
Number 4. Okay. It'll benefit the students in the way that they will be able to master the content taught with deeper learning methods in order to prepare them for the future and their successful college career.
I like that answer.
What 2 major challenges do policymakers face when trying to realign the nation's education goals? Maria Guerra. Okay, who has that one? Go ahead. Beatrice? Delilah.
Shared desire to have high educational standards that incorporate what students need to know and be able to do in today's global economy and severe budget shortfall.
The last one talks about diving into deeper learning. And look at question number 3. What percentage of students will have jobs that do not exist at this time?
65%.
65% of students will have jobs that do not exist at this time. That is why effective observation skills, knowing how to be an effective teacher, can from having great classroom management all the way to how do you get them to that deeper learning so that they can totally get and put it into practice because you know what those jobs are.
That's why there's so much funding in the CTE program.
Yes, that's why there's so much money in that technology program, in the career and technology program. That is where the money is at. But the kids need to learn how to think critically, work collaboratively.
Okay, so then why is there so many students so in debt with student loans because they can't even find jobs?
Yeah, because
Because
all
that's
those
what they're
jobs.
saying.
Bad
because
degrees. Honestly, bad.
jobs for those
But
paying
what, but
jobs.
those jobs,
If you get a degree,
like attorneys, before attorneys, wow, you know, that was a good, it was good, it was a great field to go into it. Now,
it still is.
they're more of a dime a dozen than they were before.
Yeah.
Now we inundated the job market with attorneys. We inundated the market with teachers. That's why it's very, very important to have that technology, to have those kids learn how to think critically.
I think there's not enough technology students. A lot of students are going through the 4-year degree and all this instead of the technical.
Well, my degree is technology because I have a master's in graphic design, and I do photography, video, and graphic design on the side, but I'm not going to get anything here.
Right.
But
No.
if you get a degree in feminine gender studies, where is your job in the workplace? There's not a lot. There's not a lot in that field, and there's a lot of degrees that are like that. I mean, for the last.
Sociology, you can be a social worker.
But you don't need a degree in sociology to be a social worker.
No, but that's what you're going to end up doing. I have a friend of mine, with a sociology degree. She's a social worker, making $40,000 a year. She probably spent more money on that, on her degree. So that is why it's so important to get those critical thinking skills for these kiddos. We may not have the technology that they're going to be using, but we can teach them how to think critically, how to work collaboratively. It's hard for teachers because you have to get out of that comfort. It's very hard because you have to learn now, okay, what am I going to do to make these kids think?
So the STEMs.
Yeah, that's why you have the STEMs, and now it's STEAM. They've now included the A, and it's not STEM anymore. It's considered STEAM because now they have the A for the arts. You have to bring in the art designing into the technology. Graphic design.
Every graphic designer I know is actually a teacher. That's sad. I mean, because you go so much to school to do any of that. I have friends that are biochemists, and they can't even. That's what I'm saying. Like most of them go into this program and become an ASAP program.
Maybe it's because they're in the valley.
Yeah, in the valley, you're not gonna
You
find.
have to be willing to move. The jobs are out there, it's just not.
You just have to be willing to relocate.
And so for instance, for that, it's tough because graphic design is real. It's really cutthroat, and you have to be like the messiah of graphic design to be hired anyway.
It's kind of like.
Or have your own company.
Like prime example, you don't need a criminal justice degree to go into, law.
To be a cop, yeah.
Any degree.
And you don't need a business degree to be in business either. If you have experience, you're fine.
Sales.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the assessment questions. Number 1, Ms. Matthews is a new 7th grade math teacher because she is still learning how to convey course content. Ms. Matthews spends time reading from her PowerPoints and working math examples with her back to the class. Therefore, she is not engaging her students. Which of the following communication practices should Ms. Matthews adopt to become a more effective teacher?
B.
What is B? Ms. Matthews should increase eye contact with other students, right? Number 2, the assistant principal at South Park High School, Mrs. Webb, was doing a walkthrough of a school to evaluate the environment of the individual classrooms. She was looking for various instructional techniques and approaches that teachers use to create a caring culture. Which of the following questions would be most important to consider while evaluating classroom climate? Most important. B. Do the students participate in learning experiences where respect and collaboration are part of the daily activities? Isn't that what we've been talking about? Collaboration and critical thinking. The evaluation team at Chrysler Young Middle School has asked its teachers to evaluate several aspects of the school improvement plan. Mrs. Blackwell decided to first evaluate classroom climate in her physics class. Which of the following would be the least important for her to consider in her evaluation? D. Do I employ enough assessment techniques to monitor student progress in achieving outcome? Because remember, what are they going for?
Classroom climate.
Classroom climate. So when you're taking your PPR, make sure you go back and see what the question is asking. Ms. Ramirez, a 5th grade teacher, wants all students in her 5th grade classroom to receive quality instruction. Which of the following should her lesson plans always include? C. Expertise and needs-based modification of student activities. Excellent. And the last one.
Kinder, gentler teaching.
Which statements reflects appropriate teacher questioning strategies? A. The teacher provides 3 to 5 seconds of wait time after asking a question. That's another thing that we'll ask in your PPR about wait time.
3 to 5.
3 to 5 seconds. You can't be going, Delilah, what are the 5 keys to assessment? Okay, forget it. Jonah, Randy?
Yes.
Next. So you have to give them a little bit of time to think. And then if you see it, they're starting to talk, 5 seconds are up, forget it. Don't do that. So you have to give them that wait time. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead. Questions about the assessment questions or about the pre-work? No questions? Awesome. Okay.
Oh, this storm sure is getting bad outside.
Storm? Is it really getting bad?
Yeah.
Really?
It's supposed to be getting worse.
Today?
I mean, they already closed beach access 5 and 6 already shut down.
You mean, no, here?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's a storm.
There's a storm and we're in here?
Next Saturday?
Look at it. It's right there.
Let's plan ahead.
Yes, I knew it at school.
My sister lives in Naples, Florida.
She used to live.
Yesterday? What?
She used to live in Naples, Florida.
She lives in a little town called Ave Maria, which is, that's the name of the city, Ave Maria. But it's right by Naples, another town called Immokalee. Immokalee is a farming town. Bunch of immigrants live
Wasn't
there.
there was a documentary on that city?
Yes, a lot of illegals, a lot of immigrants live there and mobile. And heart was breaking. So we're telling my sister, get out. Oh, we have certified shutters and la 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 la. Like, we're all getting out.
What's it for now, though? It's not a fire.
But still, before it wasn't going to be a direct hit. And there's 8 of us, 8 brothers and sisters, and we're all on a family chat. Get out! What are you doing? Are you crazy? Get out!
Well, now with
she finally left at 5 this morning.
At earthquakes and tsunamis, earthquake
It's
in
the end of the
Mexico,
world.
8
Yeah.
the world is coming. Mexico.
I think that
How is
Jehovah
it
Witness
outside?
was right.
What?
The Jehovah Witness kid was right.
That's just a joke.
Okay. What we're going to do next is each one of you, each group, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups. 8 groups. Each group is going to become an expert of whichever lens I give you. This is something we do right before we start doing our simulation. I really want you all to understand these, so by the time you meet Miss Coker, it's going to be one of you all, you will be able to evaluate her, and that way we can have time to talk about her and see how effective she is. So what we're going to do now, I always feel that whenever we give you any kind of information, you should always have the research behind it. There's not just hocus pocus, just done for whatever. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to do an activity. You're going to get into, there's 8 tables, 8 groups, there's 8 lessons. You're going to read the research, and then there are 3 questions at the bottom. I'm only going to give you until 7:15. By 7:15, you have to have it done. When you come back from break, we're going to report on it. You're going to report on it for 2 minutes. That's all we're going to have time for. You're going to briefly tell us what it was about. What is one main point you learned from this research article? How can you apply it in your upcoming classroom observations? and how can you apply it in your classroom instruction. Okay? So,
We talk
I'm
about
gonna do- yes, I have 2 people here.
Stop playing. Look what it's talking
I've got 3.
I just realized this isn't part of your.
See, I'm actually.
Okay. The only one sheet, so you only put these together.
My dad should show.
It's one per table. I'm assuming we're gonna get some.
You're doing,
Why is she saying? What if she starts counting?
come over here. At the top of your paper, it tells you which lens or they are doing.
What? Okay. It's gonna take
The best practice for research. Some to do one of them.
Mastery, learning, and task oriented.
Okay, Laredo, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going to the Padlet and look for best practice from research. There are all the 8 one of the lenses. Read through it and then answer the 3 questions at the bottom. Okay.
Task orientation? 5 there.
Have you tried telling your answer how to tie a shoe?
So we are at 5.
I'm assuming we have. Yes.
Did they get it?
Would it be easy for you to share when someone shows up to I know you're not entire. I know. I'm sorry for making you.
May I borrow one of them briefly so I can just show it to them? Just show them. Okay, Laredo, look for the Padlet that says best practices from research. There are 8 articles in there, 8 research articles that coincide with the different lenses. What I need for you to do is I need for you to pick one of those research articles, read it thoroughly, and then answer the 3 questions at the bottom. Post your, tell us which lens you picked, and then write the answers for the 3 on the chat. But first tell us which lens you picked. We will be we'll be doing your, and we'll be announcing your answers. I'm sorry. We'll be having your, we'll be reading your answers to everybody. Thank you. That's pretty close when I get it. Right there, right? You can see everybody.
Okay, so like,
According to this research, information segments allows students to be able to retain more information.
so pretty much giving the lesson question pauses and asking for questions, like maybe questions to make sure that they
Chunking it and making sure
can design the concept of mastery and outlining the story
so something that they can follow along with, or go ahead and use that they practice with.
So what is one point? I think she said that.
So,
Are you
One.
Giving them sort of an assignment, it's not like you have mini lessons, and you give them a list of assignments what to do. If they're supposed to know, you're doing this for so that way it's just but as you're doing that, the teacher's going to and sort of
there's also.
So you didn't turn in the, you didn't turn in so did you
Be able to
I think they have like a sense of security knowing that you're there.
Well, it's like in that one, we didn't go over where the everyone's like, yeah, okay, good. You're waiting to where you go over something and you engage it to make sure to make sure that they're following you as opposed to, oh, no, we're good with this.
well, next week we don't come Wednesday, we come Thursday.
so they know.
We come Monday, Thursday, Friday.
So, just curious, did you say Dairy Queen because of the ice cream?
Like a bio.
They're not allowed for me to do this because they don't know I am. I'm sorry.
Let's fill this out. That's what it is.
Okay, so there's also like
Why don't we do this first and then we can talk
have you
about
never seen it? It's like literally, it's not even a movie. It's what I usually used to do.
Jump me to right.
I just saw you
Thank you. I'm so proud of this.
Okay, so what is one? See, I personally like the one you mentioned where they have that.
the only one I know is that
So do you usually set mine right outside my office?
No, when I was in school, we had this one who resonated with us for practice. You know how they say practice? He knows what's up.
Oh, I've seen it.
Because I'm like, it says over here, practicing mistakes.
I know
They're
what
not
it is.
So, what is one point?
Charles Dickens. I know that one.
Well, it's practice. Does that mean it's three practice? Well, that's that's why you have the teacher. The students are practicing.
Oh, I know, because it says boiler. Not kidding.
That makes sense. No, not at all. Because the sheep is still a sheep. See, what you're saying is if a tree falls on the floor, no one's going to hear it. You're sadistic. Tokens?
I've never seen
Are you prepared to elaborate on that? Because she might ask you to elaborate on that. No, I mean that makes perfect sense. Like for instance, you get this long equation, you're teaching them, this is what you do, but they're doing stuff wrong. After you walk in my classroom to guide them, hey, you're doing this wrong, you just have to do this way. How can you apply it? As opposed to them just keep doing it.
That's just regular. Oh no. Has a bone. Did you see those people that were in the boat and then they stepped into the water and they got electrocuted? This was paramedics. Yeah, that's how probably would be
During independent practice.
Not going to help you.
Okay, this could be used during guided practice or during independent practice. Because during guided practice, people teachers go along. Like for instance, if they're teaching you using geometry, if you're teaching you, for instance, trigonometry, the teacher's going to do something on the board and tell you this is the way you're supposed to do it when you have this and this. And then during the guided practice, they'll show you and you'll walk around and gauge what the kids are doing. So I would I'll give you a point.
So this is so you're reading it, the second one. Making sure the teacher does not lecture but I think this is going to be nice.
You don't see this happening. Like you're saying.
Yeah, like you know, the kids are looking up at the tiles, counting the tiles. Test that. So bad at putting things. How can you? That's why.
Do you see one more
So one of the components is missing. But let the teething so how they The student feedback, would that be regarding to assessments, what they're working on as a So I guess we can put, in regards to student feedback.
Okay, it is 7:14. You can go ahead, as soon as you're done, go ahead and go on your break. As soon as you come back from your break at 7:25, we will start. Are you all done? Or do y'all need about 5 more minutes?
I'd say 5 more.
Okay, I'll give you 5 more minutes and then we'll go on break. 7:20, we will go on break, and 7:30 we'll be back. Hector?
See, for this one, yeah, because the one that is entering right now is when you're observing the teacher. And then the next question is, how would you do it? You get observed everything when you're, like me, I have my print.
I have to talk about it.
You observe me at least once.
Okay, so
Like for
At work, they're doing it, not doing a good job.
except for when
How the teacher
You're going to become a teacher. That only means you're going to be
how can you apply to your classroom?
I can easily have them.
Yes.
we have this in the classroom.
We have
Classroom?
observing task.
Yes. Pretty much everything. I have Wi-Fi.
with your laptop.
With your laptop.
Which one was it? Coker's classroom. Do y'all have that one?
I didn't try that one.
Do you have that one?
I did not have
You
paper.
printed it out? Okay. You're going to be Christina.
That's the transcript, right?
Is it the
Video?
PDF?
Yeah, that's okay. Because that's what I.
You are Christina. Yeah? You are Bobby.
Bobby.
You shouldn't say I don't.
Yeah, you can share. I know. You are Tim. Tim the toolman. Felipe. The dude I'm going down there.
I know.
Okay, you're gonna be Mary.
Mary Crick.
Mary. You are Anna.
Philip.
I'm Anna.
You're Anna, you're Mary.
Oh, there's an Anna.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
an
That's
Anna.
right. But she's Anna. I'm married? Okay, I can be married.
Bobby
Yes.
Flay.
Oh, okay.
Did you have it?
Bobby Flay's the.
I have one line.
Diana?
That's the one from.
That's why I don't watch movies.
I have one line.
Okay.
I'm married.
There's no Diana. There's Diana. Really?
Please don't talk about it. You know what about that one?
You are Rochelle.
You're not even in me.
Yeah.
Guys, we still have to answer.
Oh,
So, like I said, these two are essentially the same. Is this walking
Can we
through?
write down your... I have a blue and a purple and you have a red, right?
Do y'all have this?
So how can you apply to your classroom?
that's it? I only have one line?
Where's Mary?
You just summarize.
What are you?
Christina?
Walk through the initial independent practice items.
I do not have one. Alright, Christina is purple, so...
Initial IP items.
Or Kathy?
IP items.
Make sure.
Next. Oh, then you have the whole paragraph. Like,
See, walk around, initial IP items and then walk around the room to provide feedback. Well, that's why, so this one, you're going over the first couple of and then afterward, the odds, I'm gonna do number 1 and number 7.
Yeah.
So what?
I feel like because they made a point.
To get a legend.
Well, okay, so the feedback is given when you're
Make sure the practice.
No, I don't have it. I don't have a copy.
provide feedback while searching.
Yes, but the practice has to be.
Well, isn't that what the feedback is doing? Is it you're essentially well, when you do things when you use IP already over the guided practice.
Like, so, okay, so if you would get that, if you would get that at the time you're supposed to, or it's just that the parking list part? Because the parking list part, I don't care. I'd rather sleep in.
You're going to be.
Or is it just because?
Of course, we're going to review and explain it through the but it has to be.
Jeff.
Wait, don't let check out your bike in the trunk.
Make sure the questions are being asked.
Brittany.
See, that's
Read the resume.
She on the last
So you're
page.
not.
You are.
I said, that's what happens. Kids are too dedicated.
But when you still have
Where are you? Where you work? Find it?
provide feedback.
You look a solid 3.
Oh, it's 3 in the morning. Okay, it's Thursday, Friday.
It's going to be a marathon. We're going to play some games. Everyone's
See, that's why I just downloaded the computer.
Because I said, oh my God.
No, see, I went to
my old company got hired to be viewers. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna make you a trainer here. I was like, so like that week that I'm missing, I go down. I train people.
aside from the fact that we're from BBU. Wait, what time is it?
I don't know about kids.
It's only it's just the teacher goes into and she was like, why aren't you a teacher? And I told her, she's like, oh, no.
Alright, guys.
I was like, don't tell me. But you're really good. I said, how many times like one? It's in your 10 years to have it. now that I have it, like,
Yes,
I teach. I teach every day.
Also hardly.
Sales, gross margin.
The majority of it is in I mean, obviously not the entirety of it, but it's considered pretty the same.
I want to get 5 minutes.
Okay, is everybody ready to present? Is everybody ready for break?
Break.
Okay, break time.
So,
I mean, see, the continent of Asia still holds land of Russia. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. No.
You can be.
That's like me saying, oh, I'm part of Latin America, South America. That's like saying I'm in South America.
oh, I see.
Central America.
That'll work.
Like reference to? I think you're trying to make reference to it instead of. Why are you trying to make reference to it?
You're saying an example.
Yeah.
Like you.
That's why I correct. This is like, reference.
And right now,
If you use it, depends on the context.
but they're not really words, you know? So, they're words. One of the things that linguistics
I'm trying to. I have it in my
professor
Awesome. That dude was like the bomb. I love that.
I want to keep listening.
That was like I just for shits and giggles I saw another video just on what he had to say. That dude's a genius.
All upset.
There's this professor that gives you like but he's like really fun.
That dude is
Really sad.
No, like work with other people. Oh, okay. I thought you said like no, you're already decided.
What's tomorrow? Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Simón Limón. Exactamente, presidente.
I heard that. No.
I think they look they're like square heads.
Steven Pinkers.
Have you seen that? You should go. They're like little statues, but they're actually
I was having a kick today of watching a hydraulic press destroy things.
just smash into.
Yeah, like they bought this $2,000, put it in the hydraulic press, and at a certain point it just went.
How do you? No. I mean, from
I know there's mines specifically in Africa, in South Africa. That's where they get them from. Yeah, it's just hard work.
So how do you get them?
I have no idea.
What I'm saying, no, like diamonds require like super strong pressure to maintain.
Yeah, they require a lot of pressure.
For that, you have to
They also require a lot of.
How are you going to get that?
You have the idea? How do you get? Well, that's you gotta contact the idea.
How do you get them?
Retrieve.
But what I'm saying is there's like
The last time.
I drafted last Sunday. Gordon, when you walked off the field like 16. But no, he's
it's physically. Yeah, because the person would come in. So how did it? Well, what it who you're using are actually not real. Yeah, I mean, because it's like the diamonds that I was watching in the hydraulic press, all of them shattered. Technically, the diamonds aren't supposed to shatter. Oh, well, everything shatters. Well, not enough force, obviously. I know. Actually, our team their pressure on them for them to shatter. Well, they didn't show enough pressure. It's a Ray Ritter hydraulic. Yeah, because it should take more than what they used. Because I mean, obviously they didn't press on it too much. There should be deformity first, and then the shadow. There was no deformity. It's like from beautiful diamond to.
I'm sure that there's methods, but it doesn't involve us making it.
What? Starting yesterday, the Patriots. Did you see the
Laredo, I want y'all to look for the paper that's called Lenses. The Lenses in Review. There. It's a little bit similar to this. It does not say exit ticket number 1. It just says the lenses in review. Do not worry about where it says article and the name of the article. Disregard that. I get the top part, lens 1, lens 2, lens 3, lens 4, lens 5, lens 6, lens 7, and lens 8. We're going to need to fill in the blanks. When each group comes up here and does their presentation on their article, you're going to fill out points that are an aha moment to you. An aha moment is something that you never realized before and you saw it from a different perspective. So after they do their presentation, if you have an aha moment or if you learn something new from what they said, this is where we're going to put it. Like I said, don't worry where it says article and the name of the article. Disregard that. You can even put a line through it. All we're doing is one. So for learning, talk to you about the research that they read, which is the same research. And then this is where you will write your aha moment, like, aha, I get it. When you learn it.
Oh yeah. That's whoever wins the equation fantasy.
So you're talking about scoring now.
So like right now.
Okay, it's force is equal to gravity of here. The force is equal to gravity of mass 1 times gravity of mass 2
But when
over
they go to buy
radius squared.
players, so like right now these are so like because my guy next to me starts that's a lot. Should not be. That's a lot more smart. So game 1 is this week, and then game 2 is everybody. So I play different teams. So whoever gets to the final, like if I win all the games, then I get to the final. There's 12 of us, and so you make but you gotta change. Like if one player gets drafted, what did you say?
I was gonna keep on.
Or you can trade players.
But I was reading that if you take eventually the escape velocity.
Yeah, like if like so like they're
So if you're saying it would be
like this one.
Well, that's what I don't know. That's what I'm asking. But I do know if you have a take for
So you're up to date.
No, it is. The escape room.
And it gives you like as you notice, people start your first
But over here, it says like large, so by the time example three, I'm assuming that. Because everyone's
not everybody wants to talk. So sometimes, you know, you don't take pictures of what you think.
Okay. All right, if we can get back to our areas, please. Pre-work. Part of your pre-work that you had in here. The very bottom. The lenses in one found in the Padlet be filled out as soon as you're done with each assignment. In your own words, briefly tell me an aha moment you had while reading the article. An aha moment is a moment of sudden realization, inspiration, insight, recognition, or comprehension. Aha! I get it. Oh, that's an aha moment. That was part of your pre-work that you were supposed to fill out after you did each article up here. Okay? How many of you got that done? Very good. Yay. You didn't turn that in?
What are we supposed to
to bring it in.
Oh.
I turned it in, but I saw somebody.
Okay. If you were supposed to turn it in, but you can give it to me and I'll give it to them.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, it's okay.
No, it was in the Padlet, like a separate document.
Oh,
And then you
that's
would like
embarrassing.
upload it like separately.
Okay.
Alright, no,
Not a problem.
I'm a hard
I
copy
feel
guy.
not digital.
Your card. I submitted it to you.
Perfect. So we're going to do something similar, but some of the articles that you read are the same articles that you read over here. So that is why I'm giving you a separate sheet so that we can do it. The only problem is when I ran these off, I take the old article off. So just go ahead and put a line right through that. Through each article, it says Lens 1 Learning Climate. It's not the article that we're going to be using, so just put a line through those article names. You follow? Right under each lens, there's an article. This, for all of them, yes, because these are the articles that you read for your pre-work. I didn't change it when I did it when I ran them off for this activity. Okay, so where it says the lenses in review exit ticket 1, that's for the work in here that we're doing here right now. Okay, we're gonna fill it out right now together. Y'all are looking at me like I'm
Like lost.
lost. Are you lost?
You've lost climate.
I just gave you a paper. Right? Right now, I'm gonna ask the ones that have Lens 1 Learning Climate to come up here. Who had Lens 1 Learning Climate? Who had Learning Climate?
That's the name of the event.
Who had Learning Climate? It's at the very top. Look at the article that I gave you, the research article.
You have 6.
I think Laredo got the picture on.
What number are you all in the research article?
We're higher thought process.
We're 8.
You're 8. What number are you all? 6.
We're 5.
5. 3.
I think we're 7.
No, I think no.
That's it.
I think we crossed out the wrong.
Yeah, I crossed off this.
We crossed out this instead of the article on the line.
Boys. That's my question.
Learning climate. Y'all are learning climate. Oh.
She doesn't want my question to be hard, like what? Okay, you can't ask the question.
I can't answer.
So I crossed out the article?
So, according to escape philosophy,
Okay, I found learning climate.
take minutes.
I think my laptop.
No, you're going to just.
Is there?
Okay. I want everybody to please give me your undivided attention, your professional attention. They're going to be discussing lens number 1, the research article for learning climate, which, yes,
Yeah,
you're
we're
gonna,
supposed to read it. It's fine.
whatever you get out of what they said, something you learned, an aha moment, or something you learned new. Might not be inspirational, you just learned something.
Could we go through the reading the whole article?
No, you're not gonna read the whole article. You're just gonna tell us briefly what it was about, and then answer your questions.
There is a question.
Hola, Rita.
Hey Laredo, my name is Luis Ricones.
John Hernandez.
Our article was on diversity and cultural competence for educators
Or lens number 1,
for lens number 1,
learning climate.
learning climate.
Learning climate.
So tell them briefly what it was about.
The article discusses the importance of learning the differences in the cultures that are in the classroom environment, being aware of the dynamics of the different cultures, and also learning about the cultures themselves, basically the importance of knowing their background in order to better communicate with the students. As far as an aha moment, growing up here in Brownsville, didn't see it as much, but living in Kansas City and in Detroit, seeing the interactions in the classroom where there really were different cultures, there was more of a variety, that's where you see the differences, because the students themselves are interacting differently. So the teacher needs to be able to control the classroom by being knowledgeable of the different cultures that are there. Without that knowledge, the teacher can easily lose control of the classroom and not connect with the students.
You want to read anything else that you put down? Your 3 things?
The 3 things?
On one of them, it was, what is one main point you learned from this research article? We put, a teacher must acquire knowledge of the different cultures in the classroom. Understanding these cultures and different dynamics helps with communication. So once you have that comfort level with students and teachers, communication is key, and everyone on the same page to every assignment or lesson every day through the year.
Number 2, how can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observation? And we put awareness of the teacher's dynamic with students in the classroom. Observe the interaction.
And number 3?
How can you apply it to your classroom instruction? I will review each student's file and incorporate a student questionnaire the first day of class to learn more of their background.
Yeah, that was
A very good idea, a questionnaire of what they want to share, a little bit about me.
My wife is an English teacher. She does a lot of ESL. Her classroom consists of a lot of ESL students. So getting that questionnaire in the beginning will help her learn how the household functions, who's in the household, who they live with, do they work, what do they want to do, so their likes, dislikes. So getting that bit of information right away helps her to be able to communicate with them.
And that's huge for that learning climate, right? Very good, thank you.
and to be able to approach every
Yeah,
student.
you can have it like an interview process with them. Just talk to me about you, answer 5 different questions. That's a great idea as well. Excellent, great job. Let's give 'em a hand. Okay, lens classroom management. Who is number 2? Lens number 2. Yes, ma'am.
To be writing writing notes as we go, or is this?
Yes, you can be writing down whatever they said, something that sparked your interest.
Oh, okay.
Like, I like the part about the, what did you say it was? A questionnaire?
Yeah.
The interview, that's a great idea. Okay, classroom management, who is number 2? That's number 2, classroom management. Aha! The first time I ever heard, what was your aha moment? I was like, this was during my doctoral studies.
I'm a little embarrassed, guys. That's mud on my shirt. I just realized. My dog jumped on me. I had a big laugh.
Oh.
It's on my way over here. You just see how it's raining, and oh,
It's all good. Couldn't tell.
Sorry, guys. So we have. Well, now that I said it right. Classroom management. Oh, okay. So number 1, we put what is one main point you learned from this research article. We basically learned how to deal with chaos while maintaining composure and respect from the students to you and vice versa, using more I statements than you statements. So that's one thing that we learned with this article, which we already have discussed.
Okay, the second, how can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observation? We could apply it on better classroom management, as well as positive reinforcements to keep them
Busy.
engaged.
And engaged.
And engaged. Basically, you have to keep busy. You have to make sure that the students are paying attention and make sure that you have better control. That makes better classroom if you're always keeping them engaged during your classroom activities.
Okay, number 3, how can you apply it to your classroom instruction to bring organized, better prepared, and with having smooth transitions with each upcoming activity? Yeah, like basically like what she was saying, that you need to have, like, after an activity, you need to plan, you need to know what activity you're going to do next, so they don't get bored.
Have a smooth transition. Have a smooth transition in order for them to not have a moment so they could start talking and everything. Just as soon as possible, try to transition real smoothly in your classroom. I'm sorry.
You have a plan to do that.
Can you do that day that you walk in?
No, you have to plan it.
You have to plan. If you don't plan, you're going to fall flat on your face.
Takes like 21 days, no?
Yes, 21 days to develop a habit. Thank you. Lesson number 3, lesson clarity. Tell briefly what it was about, and then answer the question.
Yes, hi Laredo, Erica. Jay. Clarity, I'm going to read the statement. Who is in command of the subject matter to be transmitted is able to do that which is required to communicate with learners successfully. And basically is a teacher that's able to teach and give information to the students so they can see the big picture and understand the lesson, and trying to provide information to the students. And this can be done through using visuals and mappings and any type of technology, just to make sure that there's a clear transformation of information between the teacher to the students. And if that is done, the students will achieve and learn what's being taught to them better. One of the questions is, what is one main point you learned from the research article? And one of the main points is basically that the teacher has to be clear when she's lecturing, and make sure that the children understand what she's trying to transmit to them.
All right, says how can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observations? We put by clear teaching behaviors and methods, including many variables such as communication skills, accommodating learners' differences, and clarity of explanation when it comes down to the child actually encode, or the student encoding what you're communicating with them, and then also get that reciprocation back from them, that they have that understanding of the information that they're getting.
Number 3, how can you apply it to your classroom session? You can apply it by explaining things simply to the students, staying with the topic until the students understand the lesson, and teaching step by step.
Okay, very good. Lens number 4, instructional variety. Lens number 4, instructional variety. I'll briefly a little bit about what it was about, and then
Laredo, Hector.
Delilah. So verifying instructional variety, it's basically about how each classroom has diverse learners, so we as educators need to use various instructional approaches in a fluid way.
One of them is guiding with concepts and principles that are broad rather than highly detailed or over-specified. Oh, and also to vary the style of instruction. A single class should not be taken up with only drills or non-activity type. Maintain a balance between teacher-assigned tasks and activities chosen by the students. And one of the first questions is, what is one main point you learned from this research article?
And again, it's just every classroom is populated by diverse learners of varying abilities and backgrounds. So educators need to vary their instructional approaches in fluid ways. How can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observations?
Observe if the teacher is using flexible approaches. Observe if the teacher is using assessment of student performance.
And how can we apply it to our classroom instruction? We can implement flexible instructional approaches for all of our diverse learners.
Very good.
Being able to know the background of the students helps with the variety of diverse students.
Exactly, very good point. Very good. Lens number 5.
Sorry.
We have Randy, we have Eric, and we have Joshua.
Okay. Hello, Laredo class. We're going to talk a little bit about task and practice. Okay. And have you all walked into a classroom and y'all see kids, doing fidgeting here, or now the new fidget spinners that they you want to keep them on task, okay? The worst thing that you can do is have a kid practicing what they're doing the wrong way, because then they're going to learn the wrong way. So if you got a teacher over here just waiting for the clock to, punch out, what good is that doing for the student? Am I right?
You're right.
So we got perfect practice makes perfect. Go ahead.
So the article goes into the whole point of the independent practice actually being valid and relevant to what's being taught. And like what Randy was saying, perfect practice makes perfect, because you could be practicing something, but it could be like full of mistakes or whatnot. So you have to be there for them as a teacher to guide them, support them, and just keep them on track with their independent practice.
When the kids are doing independent practice, you kind of want to, the first thing you kind of want to do, go over, like, for instance, civic. They're doing math, science, whatever it may be. You go over the first couple of problems, so that way they know what it is that's going to be expected of them, how they need to do it. And then as they're doing the independent practice, you circulate the room. That way you can go and see more or less how they're doing, give them some quick feedback on the spot. Make sure it's, precise and to the point. You don't really tell them, you're just doing it wrong and this and that. Because then you're gonna, make them feel bad. You want to keep up the positive attitude. Make sure that they know and they master what they're doing by giving them that positive feedback.
Number 1 that we had gotten down here for observing task orientation. What is one point that you learned from this research article? And that's effective practice. Okay. Without effective practice, there's not going to be effective results. Effective practice and teacher support / guidance are vital. and crucial to the student's success.
How can you apply it in your upcoming classroom observations? And basically, if you see something off with either of the points that were listed, you could just go over there and correct it. If you see the feedback, write the feedback. See the students are practicing the wrong way, go and hey, fix it up.
Okay, number 3, how can you apply it in your well, again, like I said a little while ago, you walk through the class through the initial IP, the independent practice, so that way, you know, they know what they're supposed to do. Make sure the practice is relevant and effective for the lesson. You don't want to give them, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do equations, and you're actually teaching math or English or something like that. And then you circulate the classroom and you provide effective feedback and explanations.
Very good. Two boys here. Oh, One Direction. I don't know what it is.
It's getting worse with Backstreet's back.
Backstreet.
All right.
That's kind of
All right.
my time, right? That's the 90s?
Got the boy band.
Sing, boy band. Lens number 6, student engagement in the learning process. Great job, guys. Great job.
I'm Anna.
I'm Beatriz. Becca. We had the engagement in learning process. And basically our article talked about how to best your students to provide to have an activity per lesson, as the best and most effective teaching comes from teaching in chunks and then allowing for that practice to come in, as Randy, Josh, and Eric mentioned. That way they can go ahead and learn it through their own mindset and their activity in that practice without just being blasted with tons and tons of information that will get too overwhelming for the students. So they gave some pretty cool examples, such as if you're doing a lecture, and make sure that you have either an end of lecture discussion or allow note-taking. Even from a film or a video, you can have someone provide a share or discuss or even argue with their partners about what the video is about, or have different thoughts. So it's a really good way to allow to maximize the best and I guess
Incorporate the engagement in the learning process. So
Exactly.
pretty much having kids engage, not always having the teacher speak, and then all of a sudden the kid, remember, you lose a child within the, 15 minutes lecturing. So having that engagement, they said in chunks, as in like maybe giving a lecture, giving a small portion lecture, and then having them do either discuss within each other, kind of like we've had so far in our classes. So that's kind of what they mentioned. And with our first question said that, what is the main point of learning from this research article? Teaching in segments and following with activities will allow the students to be best lesson in retention. That means making sure that the student is always paying attention to the class, that you don't bore them to death with just lecturing them. And so then, and not only that, but making sure that the activities are, that the activities are
relevant
to them, but in a fun way also, because you also don't want to give an activity that they're not going to be interested in. You want to make sure that it's interested in that point too.
Question number 2, how can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observations? It says, observe if the teacher provides an opportunity to engage the students rather than ignore them, and extra days. So make sure the teachers are providing these activities that keep the students engaged and motivated to keep learning. Question number 3, how can you apply it to your classroom instruction? Provide provide an interactive activity, such as creating a survey or a quiz for the class after a lecture or lesson, or maybe a short answer question or something to keep them engaged.
Very good.
Questions?
Excellent. Lens number 7, student success rate. Don't be shy, ladies. Don't be shy.
Ours was measuring student success.
You want to introduce yourselves to Laredo?
I'm Sophia.
Marite, Anaí.
It was based on making sure that the teacher is asking asking questions, making sure that the students understood the concept. Basically, the teacher expectations, whether conveying directly or indirectly, or whether instituted on the individual or group level, they do affect students' achievements. For number one, what is one main point you have learned from this research article? The expectations teachers set within their classrooms, even if subconscious in nature, often have an effect on students' performance.
Number two, how can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observations? Pay attention to how the teacher has the expectations set in the classroom. Going around asking students questions, making sure they grasp the information, make sure they understood it. If not, do a reteach small group in order for them to succeed, to understand, and be engaged.
And how can you apply it to your classroom instruction? Have high expectations of your students, and be aware of approach students. Also, that the students are aware of the expectations you have of them, because more often than not, students perform according to what the teacher expects from them. So it's important to always have high expectations from all students.
Very good. And that leads us perfectly to lens number 8. Higher processes and
Hello, my name is Victor Mendez.
Bianca. Okay,
Pay
so.
attention.
So this is on the higher thought processes and performance outcomes research. Okay, so basically key points on this is they're pretty much saying that the educational system doesn't teach students how to be prepared for the real world. They don't give them proper communication skills, proper teamwork skills. It pretty much just tells them how to take a test. So they did a study and they want to promote higher thinking skills. So, and deeper learning. So pretty much deeper learning just means that whatever you learn in class, you know how to apply it in the real world, not just how to take your test and you're done. So the big thing they want to, big things they want to focus on is communication and teamwork, because those are the things that determine whether you make it through college as much as your GPA or your skill level when you start college. So pretty much it's just preparing students for post high school life.
So question number 1, what is one main point you learned from this article? In order for students to succeed in the real world and be college ready, we need to give them high order thinking skills and promote deeper learning.
How can you apply it to your upcoming classroom observations? So it would help in learning what to do and what not to do, especially if you kind of get put with a teacher who's real pro STAR and say you're not real pro STAR testing or EOC testing. You could kind of pick up on, okay, so yes, you need to focus on STAR, but you also need to incorporate these deeper thinking skills so they know what to do when they finish with this class.
And how can you apply it to your classroom instruction? Apply short answer questions and ask them to justify their answers, not just answer the question. Let them know or ask them how can you prove your answer or justify it. Give me an explanation, and that will lead to deeper learning skills.
Perfect. We're going to pull up some of Laredo's responses, but let me just go back and tell you how this ties into everything. Remember, this class is about effective observation skills. So the purpose of this class is to tell you what an effective teacher looks like. So when you go and do observations, or when they observe you, you're either the observer or the observee, right? You know what to look for. You know what makes an effective teacher. I've given you the research behind it, so it's not like you do it by anybody. All of this information comes from Gary Borage, which is a professor from University of Texas. It is a book that he calls Effective Observation Skills. that has been my main source for all of this. So he has done a lot of research, and this is a production, this is what he came from, all that research. So that's how the effective observation skill class ties in to what we're doing. Do we have Laredo?
Yes.
Okay. Laredo, here we go. Does anybody have any particular lens they want me to read? No? Okay. Vanessa Perales, thank you. Number 7, you should always have a goal that is measurable for the students about what you are going over in the classroom. I feel this will help a lot in the classroom to get the kids motivated to come to class every day to reach their goal. Great, awesome. Jaime, lens number 7, having high expectations is of great importance in order for the outcome, you're moving it too fast, to be a positive one. Next one, Rachel Canales, lens number 7. Teacher making sure students understand the lesson, and as teacher, make yourself available for any question as a teacher may have. Ligia Garcia, lens number 1. Understanding the different cultures, make teachers understand students better and be able to help him adapt better. You have more? Yeah, a couple more?
Thank you.
Okay. That's fine, that's fine. One?
We have another lens here.
Okay, oh, we have a lens 8. Okay, let's see. And I like the way everybody, I told them what I wanted them to do is I wanted them to go through all of them and see which one they thought was the most important. So they went through all of them, and they all felt that these were the most important for each one of you. And it really depends on the kind of person that you are. You know, I need to work, like for me, I think it would be more on lens number 8, making sure I'm giving them that higher level thinking, because that is very hard to do. Rachel Canales again, lens 8, STAR is important, of course, but so is higher order thinking skills for the changing world. Very good, Rachel. That's exactly correct. That's what somebody said at the end. That is, of course you have to pass STAR, but STAR is minimum. That's minimum. You need to get them, if you get them to that higher level thinking, that STAR test is going to be that's going to be done. So always strive for that higher level thinking. Okay, thank you very much. So, are we ready? Are we ready? Laredo. What I need for you to do, Laredo, is follow along. That's going to be your exit ticket. Put your name on it. Yes. Please put your name on exit ticket number 1, because that one has to be turned in. Okay, we are ready to do our simulation. It is 8:06. Perfect. We are ready to do our simulation. We're going to have to speak loud so that Laredo can hear us. Everybody should have a part already. Laredo, you need to go into the Atlas and look for Coker's Classroom. Miss Coker. Okay? Now, while we're reading it, I'm gonna have to be reading it for me because I lend it to somebody. Whenever you see something like the parentheses, do whatever is happening. Okay? With class laughs, everybody laughs. We want to be as realistic as possible. If it's our student annoying, do it. Okay? Okay. Are we ready? Yes. I love this because everybody gets a kick out of being somebody else. 1 year, Miss Coker was British. The girl decided to do a British accent. We were all like, why are you doing a British accent? I don't know. She sounds Miss Coker.
Well, I think Juan's Asian.
German.
Yeah. Juan is Asian German.
Should make Miss Coker German.
Oh.
Miss Coker.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Set it up, please.
Okay.
And speak loud. Use your teacher voice. Not yelling, not quiet. Try to project your voice. Very important. When you're talking, your gut, not from your throat, from your gut. That's the way you project your voice out loud. So you can be able to speak like this and not be yelling. So project from your gut. Are we ready?
Yes. Okay, the scene
Action.
is a 7th grade social studies classroom. Mrs. Coker is beginning a unit on forms of government. Early in the school year, so the classroom is still new to her. The first several weeks of school were a bit rough for Ms. Coker because she was somewhat unprepared for the aggressive talking out behavior of some of the students, and because of the new textbook which devotes less time to some of her favorite topics, things have calmed down a bit now that Ms. Coker has established some classroom rules and has decided to organize her lessons more tightly with questions and recitations. Ms. Coker's goals for this lesson are to introduce 3 types of government and then begin to develop the concept.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The concept of democracy, aside from the tendency of being loud and talkative. This classroom is composed of mostly regular performing students with a few high performing students who regularly challenge her authority.
Are we ready?
Okay, do I begin?
Yes.
Okay. Today we begin a unit on various forms of government. In the next few days, we will study the concepts of monarchy, oligarchy, and democracy, and how governments are formed using each of these 3 concepts. In fact, we will cover these 3 forms of government so thoroughly that at the end of the week, each of you will know how to create a government of your own. But please, don't start any revolutions with what you learned. Let's start by defining what a monarchy is. Does anybody know? Please, no talking, Bobby. Do you know what a monarchy is?
No.
Christina, do you have any idea?
No, I'm afraid I don't know, Miss Coker.
Tim, you're not in your seat, so I have to ask you, do you know what a monarchy is?
Yup, it's a butterfly.
That's an extra assignment for you tonight. Write your name on the board as a reminder.
Miss Coker and class wait.
Okay, I'll tell you. A monarchy is a government that is ruled or governed by a single person. It's a form of government in which a single person, a king or queen, for example, is the supreme head of the for his entire lifetime. Now, what other names besides king or queen do we have for individuals who serve as head of a country for a lifetime? Let's go from left to right across the first row.
I'm not sure what you mean, Miss Coker.
Next, Felipe.
You mean, what do we call someone who is just like a king but calls something else?
You're on the right track. Next, Anna.
Well, I would call a king an emperor.
Yeah, like in the Emperor's New
Club.
Okay, that's the second time you've spoken out of turn, Tim. You'll answer 2 extra homework questions tonight if you don't want me to write up a detention slip. I'll go up on the board so I won't forget to give you the assignment.
By now, talking has grown louder. And a few students have left their seats waiting for Tim to return from the board.
Let's see. Now, where were we?
From somewhere in the back of the room.
We were talking about emperors.
Yes, emperors. Like kings indicate a monarchy or a single person over a long time. Other names for heads of state that indicate a monarchy are Caesar, which was a title once used in Russia, Kaiser, which was a term used in the early German Empire, and Sultan, which is the word still used today in Arabia. These individuals, like kings and emperors throughout history, have often had absolute over the people and lands they ruled. Traditionally, these rulers gained their power from the family they were born into and not from any accomplishments of their own. In some cases, a type of monarchy exists alongside some other form of government. Can anyone think of a country like our own but that has a king or queen? Let's go across the second row this time. Roshan?
England, they have a queen and royal weddings and that kind of stuff that we don't have in this country.
Good, Roshan. Some present-day monarchs, like the Queen of England, still exist. However, in England, the Queen possesses only minor authority and exists for mostly symbolic purposes or as a way of showing the country's historical. Although kings and queens did not have authority in England, they did mostly ceremonial functions. That was a good answer, Roshan. Now, before we move to a form of government called an oligarchy, does everyone understand what a monarchy is?
No.
No one responds.
Okay, I guess we can go on. Let's see. Where did we leave off in the second row?
Trisha meekly raises her hand.
Can you tell us what an oligarchy is, Trisha? I don't know. Next, Roel.
I don't know.
Well, I guess I'll have to tell you. But it's in the chapter, which you should have read. An oligarchy is a form of government in which absolute power or authority is given to a few persons instead of a single ruler as in a monarchy. These individuals usually come to power not through heredity or being born into the right families, but through some political struggle or compromise. Oligarchies, which were common in ancient times, are hard to find today. But some governments also, almost like an oligarchy, still exist. Can anyone think of one? Jeff, Kathy, you're the last two in the second row. Any ideas?
I'm not sure, but I reckon it's like a mother and father in a family.
What do you mean?
Well, my parents have a kind of agreement, not written or anything like that, in which my mother is responsible for taking care of the house, and my brothers and sisters and my daddy is responsible for his job and doing repairs. That kind of sharing the responsibility.
Yeah, maybe, but it's not what we're talking about here. Kathy?
I can't think of any examples.
Well, you probably never heard of this, but a long time ago, ancient Greece was ruled for a brief time by a group of persons called the 30 Tyrants. This might have been the very first oligarchy. Also, we've been hearing a lot lately about Iraq. In that country, the new constitution ensures that some powers and authority are to be divided among individuals representing each of the country's major population centers, occupied by the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the
Sunnis.
Sorry.
And Shiites.
Yes. Now, let's compare the two forms of government we've been discussing, monarchy and oligarchy, with our own form of government. Let's begin by reminding ourselves of what our form of government is called. Let's pick up with the first person in the third row. Juan?
I'm not ready.
Everyone should be ready when I call on them.
Well, I didn't get to read this yet.
Class begins to snicker at Quan getting into trouble.
Okay, I'm going to make a rule that everyone must read the assignment before we begin a topic. That means that the reading for the entire week must be done by class on Monday.
But that means we have homework over the weekend, and no other teacher makes us do that.
We still have one more form of government to discuss. What is it? Joanna's next.
We live in a democracy.
What else can you tell us about democracy?
Well,
Click, click.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but 2 lunchtime jobs are still available for any students who want to be paid for working in the cafeteria during the second half of their lunch. We need some workers for today, so teachers, if anyone is interested, please write them a hall permit and send them to the office immediately. Thank you.
Roberto and Tim raise their hands, indicating their interest in the job. The teacher ignores Tim and writes a pass to the office for Roberto.
Okay, we were discussing democracy. Time is short, so take out a paper and pen and write down everything I say. Another rule we will start, since you're not doing the reading, is to take notes. The word democracy comes from the Greek word demos, which means the people, and the Greek word spelled K-R-A-T-I-E-I-N, which means to rule.
How's that first word spelled?
D-E-M-O-S. So who's next to be called on?
Rhonda raises her hand.
Okay, Rhonda, putting these two words together, what does the word democracy mean?
It means that the people rule.
Good. And who are the people in a democracy, Sam?
Yes, it's all of us, everyone that lives in a certain place.
Okay, a democracy differs from a monarchy by who is given the authority to rule. As we have seen in a monarchy, a single person, usually chosen through heredity, is given absolute authority, and in the case of an oligarchy, persons or groups representing different portions of all the people in the land are given the authority to rule. In a democracy, authority to rule rests in the hands of all the people. But how could such a system work when everyone has authority over everyone else? Next person, Diana?
Well, the people elect persons to represent us. So I guess that's what our senators and representatives do.
So when we say that all the people have the authority to rule in democracy, we really mean, next, that's you, Phil. Phil?
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 Oh,
Or Sue
okay.
Phil?
Go ahead, somebody, Phil.
Okay.
We elect persons, like Diana said, representatives and senators, and we give them the authority to rule.
Yes, so in a democracy like ours, the people have authority, but indirectly through the election of individuals that represent their interests in our form of democracy called representative democracy. A legislature composed of senators and representatives is elected by the people. Does anyone know of any other kind of democracy? Mark, you're next.
Nope.
Did you take notes on the chapter?
I was going to do that tonight.
I will begin checking notes at the end of every class. Since some of you haven't read the assignment, we'll use the remaining time to read chapter 7.
Okay. Ms. Coker talked a lot, didn't she?
Ms. Coker. I don't want her job.
Okay.
Talk too
I did.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna let this. What's it,
Okay. This instrument is from yesterday, Wednesday. If you don't have it, that is fine. We'll use it up here. We read Ms. Coker. We have learning climate. Being very teacher-centered to student-centered. Classroom management, from being orderly to disorderly. Lesson clarity, clear to unclear. Instructional variety, was it varied or was it static? Static means it didn't change. Teacher task orientation, was she focused or was it very unfocused? Engagement, were the students involved or were they uninvolved? Student success and basic skills, which is student success, was it high or was it low? Higher thought process and performance outcomes, were there many or were there few? Now, on Wednesday when you had that one and you also had, where is it? Instruments for observing. What I want you to do right now with your group is, if you have that one, or if you have the other one, I want you to rate Ms. Coker in all the different areas. Talk about it with each other. And tell me what kind of a teacher she was. We will start off with the climate, the learning climate. Take out those sheets that I gave you at the beginning of class, the plotting form, remember those? And do that one first. You're going to tell me what quadrant she is in. Start off with that one. I don't want you to tell me right now. Do it together, group right at your table. Discuss every word and then where quadrant does she end up in? After you do that one, then go on, see, do all of you have the instruments or no? Do you all have them? Yes? Does everybody have them? Who does not have them? 1, 2, 3. But somebody in your group has them? Yes, both. Well, those I gave you right now.
Yeah,
those are from
We
Wednesday.
have what you gave. We have what you gave. We have. Is that what you gave?
Yes.
Then we don't have those.
You have this.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so one of our.
Yeah, that's Either has this form or the other form. Okay, so first, let's go ahead and rate climate. Go ahead and do your plotting with your group. Laredo, go ahead and rate her on her climate. Use the plotting, the two instruments, the one for warmth and the one for control, the one that we went over at the very beginning of class. It's okay. And then look at the plotting form and plot her to see what quadrant she would be in for learning climate, using the warmth and control form.
She praised a few, but I mean, see, the way she would do like math, you know, so it's kind of cool.
The 7
Yeah, two, we did write it down.
So you mean this kind of.
A lot of friends kept scrolling around and doing
That's right.
criticism, in that criticism, I would that's where I would be like, what? X? I give her a 2 on this. Use the student ideas.
And then she actually.
Reference to formal rules. She had no reference to formal rules. She kind of made them on this watching is like, oh, nobody read, so this is what we're going to do from now on. It's almost like
Do y'all have it?
Oh, yeah. Randy has the other.
Randy has the other.
There you go, Randy.
So, reference. Responsiveness to student requests. No, see, that where Tim raises his hand, she didn't even bother. There's that one other one where she had like 2 students.
She would call them out. Someone went to someone. She was the one saying, let's go down the
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
She should be.
We should.
They take,
Because she had high
You're on the
control.
right?
But she had very low.
Responsiveness to student requests.
Yeah, I will give her 1.
Okay, which one?
Use of punishment. Oh my God. No, but even that, see.
I can't see.
This number system.
It's gotta be like a. Oh, yeah.
Task orientation.
Feels like I know he did it.
Yeah, but that's low.
You've prayed before. Yeah, the number is.
It's one. She has no words, that's why I put it one.
Why is 7 low here?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Okay, so that one reference is from she didn't have four. That's why I gave her a one.
So why is low
She
on
should
this
be
side?
a full.
Yes, it is. So there's too much words or anyway.
Around right here.
Oh, no. Check it out.
I know.
She said, don't worry about this crap. Worry about the number.
What the hell? Okay. Everything's
It's together. Same way we did this.
That's even more.
Because they feel it's down.
Okay, so like she had absolutely no rules, so that's why I gave her these charts are yeah, it makes perfect sense for me. Because I got all really low numbers.
It's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Point and then
No, I won't try it.
It's pretty high. It's pretty close to the corner.
Nope, noise based.
Gary guy needs to stop this game.
Okay, so then here.
Gary Board? Okay, next one. Student spontaneity. They kind of did pretty high.
But not in the building.
That's not a word.
It is a word. It is a word.
I get a one.
Is it raining?
Watching elementary.
It's raining when everybody.
It wasn't even drizzling. Teacher talked. She talked way.
I go through like
This side, so
Amount of teacher talk. Oh, that's 7.
Okay, so see, the higher the number, the more the teacher oriented. The lower the number, the more student. So like for instance here, it's a 7. 7 means the teacher talked between 1 and 2. We're student yeah, don't really care. Look at the higher level. Say student risk taking behavior. They didn't care. No, the other one. 7. Because remember, the higher this, the higher the number on this one, the more the
oh, I saw that.
task orientation.
I am hard, you will not like me, but the more you hate me, the more you learn.
Some of them
Lecture. There was no assignment.
student initiated response. None of the teachers like, why is it initiation? She kind of
Delegated.
picked everyone. Like, let's go. Learn something.
I watched that movie on Netflix this year.
Teacher is boring. Gosh, she was a
Okay, what did y'all get for learning climate? Oh, okay.
Not done. Not done. Students Model teacher talk.
I was supposed to make a line.
Alright, we're not spontaneous on punishment. 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 3. 7 plus 21, 28, 31. Real quick,
Those for the other
it's like 6 plus 7. Okay, so this is like it's like a 6 point something. 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. So it's like 38 divided by 6. 5 cents. No, it's 38 divided by 6. Yeah, we're adding up 6.3. So it would be somewhere like right here. That's the average. So the other one is that's 3 plus 2 plus 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So is it somewhere here? Okay, not good. No one I control.
Yeah, I concur.
There might have been some redeeming qualities.
It was like
She wrote down Do we have to do this one as well?
Okay. Did we all get through the first one?
Yes.
Have we gone through all of them yet? Yes. Okay, let's start going through all of them. We're gonna do it for about 5 minutes. Either you put observed or not observed. Okay? Or the one in the line.
there's a lot of them. You said
So y'all just whatever work harder.
You have to observe.
Oh, she actually did. I mean, she asked us what she saw us working through this one. And you have a lot of techniques. This is what she said. Okay. Arrange this classroom to match instructional goals. The classroom. Has established classroom rules and presence.
There was no task orientation. She okay, to make sure the classroom.
Uses incentives and consequences for most appropriate behavior. She didn't even give a warning. Uses multiple classroom management. What is it? She says by him, and she's just like
Monitor Peking. Because the card never seen her to work. That's why it's called Peking, because the Peking bird comes and then he puts it, and that's the only way you see land that shape.
Okay, informs learners with skills for understanding.
My dad has a board.
She had
When you have your bird, you find it out there. I guess you go like pull over and just like. So I have to take that issue, like going back and stuff.
I think this one, no. She doesn't provide learners with the task organization. Checks for lesson relevant prior. No. Gives directions clearly. Checks for understanding. She does check for understanding a lot. Yeah, provides review or summary. No. She just makes a brief.
But that's different.
All of these.
That takes like
Develops unit and lesson plans and affordable text.
That's what it tastes like.
I have no
When I
idea.
eat Takis,
Mine is administrative and clerical
I feel like I can rub it on. Put it on the grill
Stop
and
it.
it's soft and if I can cook it.
Select the most appropriate instruction. I think she can make it.
I just remember when we were at this lecture, but the rain and
Store unit outcomes. No opportunity. Provides for guided
and you go with your is it so did you is it
provides feedback.
did you get her?
I guess she kind of did.
Like there was
Uses differentiated and self-regulated learning activities. Uses meaningful verbal praise. Rashad. I have they were produced. Alright. Uses meaningful verbal praise. Yes or no? Okay, I'll get it. Monitor seat work by circulating. Oh, wait, I have no idea. It kind of seems like she was just unit and lesson organization lesson provides mediated feedback to extend plans lesson at first line.
Oh, well, yeah.
Plans transitions. Establishes momentum. Uses collaborative.
I just y'all get it done. Are y'all ready?
For students to apply what they learn. Provides opportunities for independent practice. Uses performance. And finally, uses attention gain devices. This is sad. Shows enthusiasm and animation through variation of eye contact. That's pretty much. I mean, obviously, so the way it's like being varies instructional activities. Uses mixed rewards. Uses various types of questions when you start teaching. So I would say she is asking convergent and divergent questions. Is she affirming them to clarify?
But you never paid attention.
We're about to solicit. I guess you.
But not the whole grant. The only way you pay the full grant is if you get a code.
Are we ready?
Use the student ideas.
You can teach for a year without being certified.
I'm right here.
But we did it.
This program is for certified people, correct?
So you can be able to take your certification.
And what are the requirements for the full certification? Do you have to be teaching for a time frame or just passing the content and
Just
the
passing the
PPR?
content and get certified.
Yeah, but in order to take the test, you have to take this class.
Yeah, so if someone is done with these classes, but they don't get, let's say, a job within those years, you're still certified to
Nope.
teach.
And we have to change.
Yes, you have to. You're certified, but you have a certain amount of time, but you also have to continue with education, which means you gotta go to your master's, or you have to be doing workshops and everything hours.
But can't you do that outside of Reliance District?
Not traditional.
Oh, yes.
I graduated 10 years in traditional education. So I never continued. I have to tell you the truth, I never well through with it because my job was not making more money. So I stayed
Because they charge them.
Because
Because there's no jobs.
I don't really
That's why I have
SLPA, not like a physician's assistant. I'm a SLP assistant. And yeah, it did take a lot of work, but right now because of the insurance changes, there's a lot of the less of the pay, so there's still people even in other. It's more,
Okay. I'm loving all the discussion with Ms. Coker. So let's go ahead and get started. You have exit ticket 2. We're going to go through each one. You're going to tell me your thoughts on it. Then I'm going to give you what the man that wrote Ms. Coker's scenario thought about it. Okay, let's start with learning climate. What quadrant was she on? A, B, C, or D? A. Low warm, high control. What are some things that you all say about her, that you all remember about her climate? She's annoying.
She talks too much.
Talk too much.
Ignore Tim.
Ignore Tim. What else can you all think? Relaxed?
No. She seems stressed.
She was stressed out the entire.
Because
she was mean.
Because it's couldn't understand her, so she was stressing herself out.
So she was tense. She was stressed. On that paper, this is what he said. Appears tense. Few students seem to feel free or relaxed. Teacher responses might even increase tensions in the classroom. Do you all see that? The teacher quick moved to another student without correcting a partially wrong answer. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And she's just like, okay, whatever. Kept on moving. The teacher responds to enhanced competitive nature in the classroom. Firm control. She was way too firm. Row by row recitation instead of open discussion. Instead of saying, okay, what do you think? What do you think, Rashawn or Quan? He was like, okay, row 2, where was I at? And then the last one, learning climate of opposing forces. It's like she was just constantly going at it. No, you're wrong. You didn't read, and making them make fun of the other one. Right there. So I want you to write 3 things on those 3 lines about learning climate with Ms. Coker. Three things that we just talked about that were most impressive to you with Ms. Coker. That one? I gave you that one, right? It's over here. Everybody has that exit ticket, right? Number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, here.
Classroom management. Tell me about classroom management, her classroom management.
Fantastic.
She picked on Tim a lot.
She picked on students. She picked on certain students. Well, we just talked about classroom management.
That's not very organized. Straight punishments.
Okay. She wasn't organized.
The punishments. She didn't give any warnings.
She didn't give warnings. What else did she do? She did something that you were like, what?
She kept calling.
What?
She kept calling on students.
She kept on calling, but no. She did something that one student didn't do, so she did something right away.
Oh, the punishment. The punishment.
She made the punishment, so she embarrassed the child, but something else that you just don't do.
We're not supposed to do that?
When they didn't read, what did she do?
The assignment?
Yes.
She changed the rules.
She changed the rule. She just made up a rule in the middle of class time. She made up a rule. From now on, the rule is, remember she said that? How is a student supposed to know what is expected of them? I don't like the way, this ball was. We have to change the rule. I don't know that analogy, sorry. I love LeBron. Makes up rules. Randy's over here looking at me like, no. Makes up rules on the spot. Very inconsistent. Problems with conduct of the students. Too much time responding to bad behavior. Momentum when Tim gets up to write his name. Everybody, everything stopped. Bad classroom management. Lesson clarity. Tell me about lesson clarity. Boring. Wah, wah, wah. She was very boring. What else about lesson clarity? Can y'all think? Look at your notes, what you have there.
She kept going back and forth with some of her, I guess, points. She was like, no, you're wrong. So where was I? She got lost in herself.
She wasn't really checking for understanding.
She wasn't checking for understanding. She didn't know what she was doing. What do you use at the very beginning of class?
State the objective.
Say the objective, but you also want to know what? What did I do at the very beginning of class that was up here? What did you, somebody just said?
KWL.
KWL. What do they know about it? If she would have found out what they knew about the different types of governments,
she could elaborate.
She could have elaborated. She could have realized, oh, they don't know this and this. Let me cater my lesson to their needs. But she just, this is my lesson plan. I got it out of a book, and I'm gonna do it. I don't care if they don't know what it's about. This is my lesson plan for the day. So she did not take the time to figure out what they already knew, to make sure she modified her lesson based on the child's needs.
She didn't plan accordingly, in other words.
I'm sorry?
She didn't plan accordingly.
She did not plan accordingly. Okay.
Clear only if known, right?
I'm sorry?
Clear only if known. She could have done that, like clear only if known. Use that approach.
Clear only, I was like, huh? Clear only if known. Clear only if known. Elaborate for me.
It was only clear to her.
Something that you taught us.
Oh?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on the Padlet.
Is that the plate?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I don't know where that came from. Though that you started clear only if known.
I said, okay.
Better own it.
I don't know how that ended up in there. I was like,
That's all you want.
y'all are making. Okay. Ms. Coker asked students at the beginning, they know what a monarchy is. If she had not asked this, if she would have asked this earlier, she would have known what they knew about it, and they could have either remediated or gone into more advanced topics. Okay. Going on to the next one. Instructional variety.
It was just
She talked through the whole.
It wasn't student-centered. It was just lecture for like the whole 15 minutes or whatever.
Lecture and screen.
All she did was talk.
And yell.
A lot of ass.
So there was no variety, was there? There was no variety at all. She just lectured, screamed, and screamed. Could she have used a lot of group discussions? Could she have used divergent questioning? Like, what do you think of this? And students could have come up with different ideas. The idea of the guy that had the family structure, that would have been a great starting point for them to start coming up with different ideas of different types of governments.
separating the class.
The classes, but she just missed it on all marks. Next one, task orientation. Task orientation.
There was no task orientation.
There was no, from, let's say her class was 40 minutes long. It was a regular class. How much instructional time do you think was spent?
Oh, about 80.
80%?
Talking. Oh yeah, she was just talking.
No, I said instructional time.
Probably like 30 minutes, 20 minutes maybe?
10 minutes.
How much time were the kids learning anything, and we could see that they were learning?
At the end.
Never.
Maybe, what?
Only when Jeff talked.
minute.
That's it.
Only maybe a few minutes? The entire time, it was just her talking,
Rambling.
getting mad at people, but we never really
So it
saw
was
the
like
students
10.
were being successful. Engagement process. Were the students engaged?
No.
They were engaged, but it was passive. They were just listening. Or they could have been writing down notes. They were just, notes to each other, not notes. They were not even engaged. One kid, what? What did you ask me?
They were
Oh, I don't know. I don't
confused.
have it. So they weren't even engaged in the process.
Maybe she should have asked why they read the text. Because that's one thing that she did. That's why she was making a reread the next
chapter.
in the week.
Kind of, she didn't even have any rules to begin with.
Right. She didn't have any procedures. Did she get them excited? Did she use her imagination? No, she was very boring. Observing student success. Do you think she was, do you think the students were successful?
No.
What percentage of students do you think were being successful of the kids that she called on? Maybe
There
two,
were
so
shots
let's
that it was
say,
this,
let's say
this,
she
this,
called 7 of them, only 2, that's about what, 30%? If it's less than 60%, you're not being effective.
Wait, and what is this?
Student success. If less than 60% of your kids are not being successful, it's not a successful lesson. You have to keep reteaching or do something different. 60% or more, you're on track. But less than 60% of your kids are not on track, you're not being a successful teacher. And then the observing students, oh, that's what we just did, right? Higher thought processes. Did the students learn any type of did they have any meaningful learning from this content? Anything that really meant something to them? I go back to when he talked about his mother and his father. Could that have been meaningful to them? Yes, they could have really established some, because one of the goals, if you remember, she said, when we're done, you're gonna have to establish your own government. Remember she said that at the beginning? Did they ever get to that?
No.
No, that was she said to her father, okay, let's establish a new government, and the government may be based in your home. how are we gonna run it? So that could have been an extension for the children, but she was too busy. It's not tied to what I'm telling you, so we need to go off that. It's not in this little box, but you need to make sure you're sparking the kids' imaginations. That sparked it great, but she chose to go a different way. So all in all, would you give Ms. Coker a good evaluation or a low evaluation? A low evaluation. Many times when you see the videos that we give you all to see online, they're usually teachers that are doing a pretty good job. So, and people always ask me, why don't they put videos of people that are not doing a good job? So this is not, we don't have a video, but this is what it was meant to be, the opposite. That way you can see what not to do and what an ineffective teacher does.
Is that real? Like, is that a real classroom?
That is a real classroom. I mean, I don't know if that was, but that happens more than not. It really does. Old school. I hope you all learned something new that you didn't know before you came. I really do. I know sometimes I tend to bring in too many of my own stories, but I do appreciate you all's attention, especially when we're doing Ms. Coker. I've been doing this class for about 3 years, and I think y'all was the first class that laughed on cue. So I really appreciate you all really getting into the meat of it. I will see you all. I'll turn in your exit tickets with one, but I will see you all for.
We're turning everything in, right?
Everything. 1 and 2. Exit ticket 1 and exit ticket 2.